this setup could be nice, and I wanted to do a story time of something that happened a few years ago. Also, by the way, if my bathrobe opens, don't worry, there's a swimsuit. Don't worry. Also, I thought this little mic was kind of fun, so let's do this. So you guys know that I love K-pop. I love dancing to K-pop and stuff. And a few years ago, I found a week of training, an organization that was doing a week of training. And so I had waited all year to go because I really wanted to do that. I thought it would be so fun because you learn how to dance, rap, sing, all these things, act in front of the camera, all this fun stuff that I love. And okay, let's start like this. This is a story of, I don't know how I'm gonna title this, but this is the story of the first time I probably learned that I had to stand up for myself and stand up for others, because all my life I was kind of, it doesn't look like it, but I grew up being I grew up and I was always a pushover because I don't like to hurt people. I often tend, and still now, I often tend to say yes instead of no, and to just go for the path that will not hurt a person. I am very ashamed of it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why I'm like this. But maybe a lot of you relate in some way. This is like the story of me stopping being a pushover, and it was late in my life, may I say. So I have all of my notes on my phone because there is so much. I needed to organize my thoughts because I still am very angry at what happened, and I just really needed to talk about it because I feel like that little story, I don't know, it can maybe echo with some of you. There is someone just right in front. Okay, so where is it? Okay, there we go. So I found this thing. So it was like a K-pop training and like just Korean, all Korean things training. So there was language too, but I'm gonna tell you exactly what the schedule announced looked like from 6 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. There was supposed to be 15 hours of dancing, 7:30 hours of acting, then 5 hours of camera acting, photo shoot 2 hours 30, singing 7 hours 30, rap 5 hours, public speech. I'm not gonna tell you all the hours because this is a lot, but public speech, makeup, music producing and writing, Korean language and culture, yoga, pilates, meditation, nap, daily evaluation, and personal daily training, whatever that is. So I saw this, I was like, hell yes, that's made for me. Listen, this whole story is going to be a list of red flags, and you guys are going to be like, but Sharon, it's like the girls who want to fix the guy. And I was just like, it's okay, they're a small team. I'm just gonna put up with it, and I'm gonna trust that everything is in the schedule, and I'm gonna do everything that's promised. So from the first contact, I signed up in April. The contact guy, let's call him Jake, 2 months later, asked me supposed to start the day later, the day after at 6 a.m. I am told you didn't send the medical certificate. If you don't, you can only watch. And I'm also told to sign the brochure again. I lost it a little bit at this point. And first off, the blame is on me for the medical certificate. It was like at the end of the brochure and I didn't see it, and the only thing I blame him for is because like he waited until 11 p.m. the day before to, check up on the participants, because I think actually I wasn't the only one. I'm not sure about that, but so, and I said it's the second time now that I remind you that I am, I'm signed up. Maybe you should, like check up more on the participants and, make sure you gather everything before 11 p.m. the day before. And then he started getting a little bold. He kept calling me madam. I was like, he was like, we go through a lot of information. We can't just check everything. There were 4 girls that signed up in the end. One abandoned the road. And then he was like, we apologize, but it was written at the end. It was like, the blame is on me for that. It's sure, but you could still, do your job. Like you get all the sign-ups and like you make sure that to follow up, that everything is alright. And then at least for the final participants you could do that. And I said, especially knowing that I'm traveling for this, and so I'm getting a hotel for the week for this. So like if you're telling me, you can only watch, that's an expensive week to just watch. What did I say? I said, can I at least participate in everything non-physical, because there were lots of things non-physical, as you can see from the schedule that I told you, because that's what was offered to us. And then he said, I checked with the team, and yes, I was like, oh, you're too kind. Anyway, the nicest doctor ever got me in. The day after, I was able to get a medical certificate, so that's fine. So the day after we were supposed to start at 6 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. Go there at 6. No one is answering. No one is there. So I try to email them. There's no one responding to me until like 4 p.m. I think, something like that. 4 p.m. I'm told that it was said on the Telegram group. That the place was changed last minute to this Airbnb. This is just apartment Airbnb. I know. So they said like, come at 5, we're gonna do a welcome. It was so sorry, every Lauren. For some reason, that's the only name I can think about, and that doesn't fit her at all. Lauren, I'm sorry. Let's call her Jen. Anyway, Jen. There's so many Jennifers too, right? I'm so sorry. Anyway, so Jen was the head of this whole thing. She wasn't very apologetic for the whole, like, welcome thing, and she was so, like, manipulating the parents from the start, like, just being very, very nice, and, like, very, compliments to them, and, like, you girls should listen to your parents, and so, like, the parents were, like, buttering their butt up, buttering their butt up, buttering their butt up, buttering their butt up, and so, when the parents left, she took the schedule and tore it. And she said, artists are flexible. There is no schedule. We do, like we... I want to scream because I'm like, Sharon. And I was like, okay. Anyway, she gives us a very important detail, an ego speech. If you have an ego, you can't be an artist. There's girls who gave up because of their ego, and so, like, kind of like you have too much ego, you're weak-minded if you give up. Like, she was like, you can't give up halfway through if you're not strong enough for this. Very important. So her entire team is made of kids. The kids that she recruited to be in her cult. Sorry. That's not the word I meant. It was kids, basically. She had a team of kids who were dancing and singing, and I don't know what else, but, like, they were just doing that, and I learned later, not getting paid for it. But, so, like, these kids, and I say kids because at the time I was, like, mid-late 20s. So, they were all, like, 22 maximum. And then, like, all these kids felt, like, really in charge, And I learned that she and her son, who was, like, the dance teacher, and a few others had the pleasure of sleeping at the Airbnb. But 2 girls... Wait, oh my god, there's so much. I'm so sorry. 2 girls had to sleep with the other girls because I had a hotel and I didn't know. But apparently everyone else was offered to sleep in a dance studio where we were supposed to go on the welcome day, on the welcome morning. So all these girls had a sleeping bag. They were sleeping in sleeping bags on hard dance studio floor. Not supervised. May I say what is going on? Okay. Not supervised. I think actually this is really, yeah, like the only adults with them were like just the pair of 21, 22-year-olds. I don't even know if they were 20, to be honest. And I should have probably at that point gone like, this is weird. I don't remember knowing, like, I don't remember questioning myself, like, who was sleeping with these girls, at the studio. So I wasn't offered that, and it was a blessing and a curse. A blessing because it allowed me to escape. You'll see later. But also a curse because I paid a whole week of a hotel. Did I say that this whole week was very expensive for these girls who were like 15, 17? They had to ask their parents. It was expensive for them. It was expensive for me too, but it was, you guys probably know me. This is everything that I love. So I was really ready to put in the work and then to come back to you guys. Like, like, wow, I can do this, I can do that. Like, I was thinking about, like, doing all these things when I return to, like, show my progress and stuff. Anyway, so, yeah, I had to go also to my hotel room in the middle of the night because they were letting us go so late. So that wasn't great. I was alone and stuff. I didn't like that. Whatever. So the day after starts the whole experience. The morning at 6 a.m. Literally so tired. One of the girls in charge at the studio, she was so tired, so exhausted. It was like literally she had just woken up and she was just like this, and she handed us a sheet with lyrics on it, 2 sheets with lyrics on it, and she was like, "These are your songs. Listen to it. Google this song and that song." And she was like, "Just learn it, cause you're gonna have to do the music video and the recording on these songs." Yo, isn't that exciting? Like, the whole point of the week was to record 2 songs with music videos. Imagine my reaction. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I love that. with a cameraman and like professional stuff. Anyway, so she tells us that and she leaves us for an hour of learning songs. I was like, did I wake up at 6 a.m. for this? And then she made us walk all the way to the Airbnb. There's public transportation. It is a city. We walked at 7 a.m. all the way. It was great. It was a bonding experience. There at the Airbnb, I learned that Jen is not awake. So I'm like, okay, so what are we supposed to do, like, without her? And then actually none of her team is awake, except one girl who was our dance teacher for one choreography. She was the only gem in this whole fiasco. She was great. And so she gave us a stretching class. Now it's cool. In a cramped space, it was cool. But she was great. She was like tough. I liked it because like that's what I expected. Blah blah blah. Then Jen gets up and she looks like a bird fallen from a tree, like a baby bird fallen from a tree. She's like completely exhausted, tired, and just like this, literally lids half closed. I want to say something about her before like we move on. She appeared as a very sweet lady. She was like middle-aged, and she was speaking like softly. She was like pretending to care, but I could tell that there was something a little empty behind it. And I think at the time things, and I don't know, this lady was the person that really told me, because all my life I thought that adults got their lives together, adults are, serious and stuff. I had examples before of like this not being the case, but this was the most clear case in my life that basically it's not because someone is grown up that you can trust them and that they are, how do you say, trustworthy and stuff like that. It was, yeah, so it was kind of sad because she presented herself as a very kind lady. But anyway, so like she wants to know more about us, and then for 3 hours we just talk for 3 hours. 3 hours. And I kind of watched the time like, shouldn't we be doing something else? Like, it's already like end of the morning, whatever. I'm not sure how to calculate apparently, but yeah, for 3 hours, and it was like this every day. We had 4 hours of talking, and she wanted to do like some kind of therapy session. I think I'm gonna tell you more about it afterwards, I think. She tells us we have to go to another dance studio to learn the first dance, and all week we kept like just finding new studios because she didn't like the first dance studio that the girls were sleeping in. They actually didn't have space for us to dance in. So we ended up finding like 2 other dance studios, and then for I think the other half of the week we danced outside in summer in very rough heat. So every day we had 6 hours of dance. 6 hours of dancing. Which, okay, sign me up if there's everything else, right? We didn't have anything else. much of anything during this whole week. Wow, I feel so bad. And yeah, and there was definitely this. Oh my God, there's so many people. There was definitely this sister relationship that just set up from the get-go because I wasn't the oldest. I was an older woman. She was so funny, honestly. Like, she made my entire week. But I was definitely like the one trying to care for these girls because they were literal kids. And then, yeah, so what did you do during this week, Shaz? If you didn't do all these things, then what did you do? So, we had to go to the Airbnb every morning for no reason at all. She gave us 4 hours of therapy every day. So, if you guys watched all these Netflix documentaries about cults, this is you'll see this is exactly what it is. If you can hear people talk, I'm not sure what it is, but hopefully you don't hear it. So let me speak like, what is this? Why is it so loud? It sounds like it's in the pipes. 3 to 4 hours of therapy, and basically what she was doing is asking the girls to talk about themselves. I am not sure how it ended up here, but each girl every day was just giving out their like trauma and secrets, and they were all crying every day. These poor girls, and like they were saying stuff that was really sad, like about their lives and stuff like that. And then there was one girl who she was crying so much, and Jen wasn't moving on to someone else. So I told the girl, like, sit down, it's okay, we can go to someone else. Jen said, that's very kind of you, Sharon, but no, she has to, like, confront her feelings. I was like, she can barely say anything right now. You see, like, I hate myself because I should have done more. But it's so weird to say, like, the woman was presenting herself. Is there, like, people just sitting there? She was presenting herself as kind, so I didn't want to disrespect. I don't know what. She was, like, also much older. I felt, I don't know, some kind of disrespect if it's not in my personality to just, be very confrontational and, I don't know, straight out mean. That's not meanness, but I don't know, it's not really in my personality. It is a little bit more now, but I had to add a little bit of spice since then. But yeah, they were just like saying all of their secrets, and then, because of this, it was kind of like trauma bonding. All these girls felt closer to each other, and I remember when it was my turn, I didn't really want to talk about my life to a stranger, and I felt like, I don't know, it was a weird move, so I didn't. And like the girls were like, oh my god, you're so strong, you're not crying. I was like, it's just because I don't want to cry here, like, I don't want to, like, but these girls were 15, 17, they didn't, first, I don't think they had anyone to talk to outside of there. It seemed for all of them to be like the first time that they were talking about things, and that's why I felt so you know, like, we're here to learn dancing, singing, acting. We're not here for that. I'm not sure where she was going. My take on it is that she had nothing else planned, actually. So that's all that she, that she had. In the evenings, there was nothing happening for hours. It was nighttime, and I was like, are we gonna have this? Are we gonna have that? And the team was like, yeah, later, and also like, Jen wants to come now to like, teach you about singing. And it never happened. So I waited for hours to go back to my hotel. It never happened. At some point I was like, okay, listen, don't want to be disrespectful, but I gotta go. It's nighttime. And obviously I knew that she was never coming anyway, so, and I think these, like, it is in my pipes. Although these kids, the team, had no clue what was happening, I'm pretty sure of that. I got a good grasp of that, like, very, very quick. Because they kept telling us, like, sorry, I'm trying to dodge people passing. They kept telling us, like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen for sure. Like, where's the singing? Where's the rap? Where's the acting? Oh yeah, it's gonna happen later for sure, like, in the week. So, like, you go through the whole week and you're like, it's happening, like, soon. Also, there was definitely a separation between them and us. They were definitely feeling, like, I don't know if she briefed them on this, but like, they were not talking to us, not addressing us, and like, kind of being a little, one day, Jen, she was like, okay, we're gonna do a test. Jake is gonna, no, that wasn't Jake, that was, let's call him Paul. Jake Paul. Let's not call him Paul. Let's call him Oliver. Oliver is gonna do a test, like, you are going to take, like, you're gonna do like an exercise outside. I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna do some stuff, He made us walk through half of the city, in the summer, in the heat of the summer, with an older woman. I have asthma. I'm not great with lungs, and I'm not in shape anyway. So at some point, I don't know where he was going, but at some point I just said, like, fudge it. I'm not doing this. And then in front of a flight of stairs, I was like, I'm dead. I don't want to do this. And then my angel, let's call her Flora, my angel Flora, the woman who was older than me, she literally was like, no, you gotta do this, come, we can do this, and she dragged me up the stairs. An angel. She saved the scandal. But yeah, I was like really not happy. So like during the whole time I was like looking at Oliver like, you are, I'm gonna stop here. One girl who wanted to be in the, dance team, she recognized me. She was so sweet, and her story is interesting because we witnessed while we were eating breakfast that they did not provide was like, oh, please dad, I really want to do this. And he was like, not, you know, how can I say this? He was just seeing through her. And then later, we learned that Jen refused her being in the team because her dad, and she was kind of like telling us, I don't know why she showed us emails with the dad or something, and like saying he had like too much ego for his daughter, like to let his daughter be an artist. So crazy stuff. And I remember there was, at that time I was like, that's really weird. That was like early on, but I was like, that's very strange. You shouldn't show us like emails and stuff like that with a dad. And like he had a normal kind of behavior. He felt like this was bullcrap, and he was like, no, I'd rather her study first. I think that's pretty fair. It's not ego. And then so like that kind of put this like thing of like, she's doing things weirdly in my mind. Oh my god, at the end of the week, I'm looking at my phone with the notes. At the end of the week, we had to record the two songs with the two music videos. So we had to have like a cameraman, like professional stuff. They recorded with their iPhone and said like, now the iPhones are just better than cameras. We were never taught how to sing, and because we had to record the songs and be embarrassed in front of everyone, because all the team and everyone was staying while we were recording one by one. I pulled out my just voice notes that I had from my singing teacher at the time. I took like for 3 months, I think, and it was great. And so I gathered the girls, and we were just singing with that, trying to learn how to sing with that. It was crazy. And we had to have like a makeup, makeup hours and stuff to learn how to do makeup. The only makeup that we learned was 30 minutes before the music videos. One of the girls of the team was looking at us like putting on makeup, and she was like, this you should do this, or this you should do better like this, blah blah blah. Yeah, that was great. Oh yeah, so we were never, I think, offered breakfast. I'm not sure, we had to like bring our own breakfast. Yeah. We were never, offered any food up to that one, the day of recording. It was so great. It was such a great ambience, like great atmosphere. And then Jen was like, would you like rice? It was the first time that we were offered food, so we were so happy. And we're like, yeah, sure. I don't think I took any of that stupid rice. It was like a tuna salad or something like that. And like all the girls like ate so happily. Oh yeah, mind you, the team was eating McDonald's in front of us, like while we were in therapy, starving. And yeah, they never offered or suggested anything. And even that day, like one of the team finally broke that barrier and like was super nice with us for the first time, because he had been the coldest butthole during this whole thing. So he ate with us, and oh yeah, it was Oliver who was like, I had laser beams. I was literally like this. Like, am I crazy, or she offered us food? Like, am I crazy? I was kind of like looking at other girls like, is it just me? Am I crazy? And then she forced two of the guys in the team to be like, yeah, it was the rice was a test, but like they were like talking like this and just touching their like arm, like so embarrassed and like not believing a word that they were saying, and I was looking at them like so then Jen says, okay, we're gonna record your acting scene now. It was like probably midnight. And I was so angry that she gave us like 10 minutes to finish learning the scene, and then for those 10 minutes I just could not, I was seeing red. I was just like, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this. Like, it was just like building up so much in my chest, and so I was telling the girls, like, it's crazy, she's crazy. And the girls were like, because they were young, you know what else. And so I went to see Jen, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do this tonight. I gotta go to my hotel. Like, I paid a hotel room. I think it was even like 2 or 3 a.m. and I was like, I paid a hotel room, I'm not staying here just because you forgot to tell me that I could stay here and not take a hotel. So she was like super nice, like, oh, no problem, blah 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 blah. So I left. I was like, okay, bye. And then the day after is the showcase to the parents. Jen was so late. Her son made us stretch in front of the parents, like to to gain some time or whatever. It was so stupid. And so like she gives us individual evaluations in front of the parents. And then she was like buttering my butt up, like, you're the big sister, and like everyone, the girls loved you, blah 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 blah. Anything about the skills, I don't remember. And then she was like, after the showcase, she was like, now, Sharon, you didn't do the acting scene, so now you're gonna do it. One of the songs, we were in like summer clothing, and I had a short top with actually the same swimsuit that I have right now. It was like a crop top, and like underneath I had the swimsuit here, and then like big baggy jeans that weren't fitting me whatsoever. That's my fault. And she was like, you're gonna do it. If you don't know, I forgot the name of the drama. It was a scene of the drama Sweet Home, where one of the girls was screaming because her brother, I think she understood that he was dying or whatever. She was screaming. So I had to bulldoze her through 2 girls. I mean, I did. I don't know if the other ones did. I didn't see any other scene. I bulldozed through 2 of my girls, screaming my head off because I was doing acting, so I was just like going for it, but I was so embarrassed. And she was like, okay, do it in Korean and now translate it in English. We had learned it in Korean, and so on the spot I did it in Korean. I did it in English. I was like, what is going on? My brain just like, it worked for me, my body worked for me. And then terrible video. Honestly, like, craziest acting I've ever done in my life, I think. I was just like going for it. It was not bad. It was not bad, but I was in a freaking swimsuit. So anyway, I leave. I was like, bye. We keep in touch with the girls. We talk about how awful the experience was, but like we were all proud of each other, you know, for like the resilience. And then we're contacted to give feedback, but through the feedback we're oriented, which means like I keep saying like all the wrong, you know, like everything that was wrong, and they were the girl kept reorienting me towards like my self-evaluation and my behavior. And every time I was saying something, she was like, but you still had fun, right? Okay. Then Jen contacts me. She said, basically, I'd love to do something with you. And I don't know if you know, I'm a Slytherin. I know when people use me, and I find it okay if then I get something back. Like, I knew that she was using me for my platform, but in exchange, I was getting to dance, to sing, and stuff like that. So I was like, cool, okay, I can have fun. Whatever. And then she comes up with an idea. She's like, we can train you and another girl for like a month, and then, you know, see the evolution like every week. She was like, you can record music, whatever. So I'm like, okay. But she had, you know, a track record of not following through what she says. So I went to get some information. So the older lady that was with me, I think we named her Flora. Flora has been with them, like following them for a while, so she knows everything about them. And she told me that there was actually a girl who was with them for a long time, a singer with a very nice voice, but she had never been given this opportunity. So I was like, well, it's definitely the following, but I felt bad for this girl. And then so I hear that the guy, you know, I was in contact with the first time, what did we call him? Jake. Jake had been fired. Not surprised. But I was like, he's out of the whole thing now. He can give me information. So I went to him and he told me that basically, like every day she was saying, or like, you know, when they were debriefing with the team, she was saying that I had a lot of, like a big platform, and also he said that this other girl that she wants to train me with, she had talked shit about her, behind her back, and just like basically called her some kind of a loser or something. And I felt so bad. I was like, why do you want to, like, she didn't want to work with her before, and then because I'm here, suddenly she wants to like do something with her. And I was like, I can't let this girl work with someone who spoke like that behind her back. So I decided not to touch this situation with a 10-foot pole. Let it die down. I was like, this is like, even I don't even think I would actually get to dance and sing because we didn't do it during the week. So I was like, I'm good. And then later, a father, one of the girls, spoke up in the Telegram group where all the parents of all the different trainings she was doing and was advertising were in. And he spoke up. He was like, this is unacceptable. They didn't even get breakfast. They didn't get to do anything apart from dancing. I was like, say we didn't protest, I find two issues. One, most girls are very young and will never dare to challenge you for tons of reasons I could list. For the others, I recall that throughout the boot camp, on several occasions, we asked the staff if we were going to have all the other classes, and each time we were reassured that we would have them. So we kept hoping all along that we would have all of this until the end, and so yes, we did not dispute and trusted you until the end. You should have told all the staff that in the end, we would have nothing other than dancing, Korean, and of course, therapy for maybe 4 hours. The possibility was raised that we could leave the boot camp midway if we were not strong enough. From the start, you established a different relationship with people giving up, and obviously no one wanted to be considered as weak. Perhaps knowing that we were not going to do the majority of the program noted, it would have been good to apologize along the way and to remind that if we were not satisfied, we could get a refund, which we were never offered. She basically offered like a few free classes online. The compensation of a few free dance classes online is therefore not a surprise. For you, it's a gift. For us, it's the bare minimum for the week lift. Regarding the feedback we gave, we all expected to be asked for our comments on the boot camp because there were things to say, but in fact, no, you only asked for comments on our own behavior and self-evaluation, making sure each time we made a remark about the problems at the boot camp to redirect to our self-evaluation. I think if you take my recording, you can hear enough complaints. And yes, I expressed satisfaction because she was like, you guys express satisfaction during the evaluations, the feedback. So I said, and yes, I expressed satisfaction, a lot of self-satisfaction indeed. I was proud of myself and my resilience. I also met some great girls. But otherwise, the girl during the feedback, she was like, but otherwise, have you still kept good memories? And yes, I liked her because she was nice and I still held respect. I was still afraid of offending, but when you step back and look, unfortunately for you, we've all been in touch ever since, and no one has one good memory. It was bitter. We left without looking back because we wanted to leave as quickly as possible. It was a relief, so no, it wasn't sudden. For you, it's certainly true, yes, but we've been talking to each other since the beginning. And at the beginning, I really tried to believe it and tell myself it doesn't matter. That's certainly how it works. But in fact, when you look closely, it's not great what happened. And even if I wanted to believe in your project, it just can't work like that, especially with you trying to bury it all and rewrite what happened. And I'm sure that in the end, it's not a shock to anyone, especially after spending a week sleeping in sleeping bags in a dance hall and spending a lot of time in the subways looking for another dance hall. You can have your document signed, yes, but there are all still children who will follow you and say amen to everything because there is a balance of power in this case, by the lack of competition and by the dreams that you sell these girls. Furthermore, all complained every day and none of them dared to tell their parents what was really happening because they didn't want to be wrong about their dreams. Well, I think that says a lot. And so yes, for the recordings, everything was filmed on the phone, and second recording was not filmed. The second song was not filmed when we recorded it. And I thought I did great, so I'm really pissed. It was rap. You also wanted to do the recording again. She called me and said that. Unfortunately, quite a few don't live in the city and have spent their parents' money to travel and do all this during the week. So it's crazy to ask them to do that again when it was your fault in the first place. And that will, of course, never happen anyway. So at the end, I said, okay, making sure I would really have preferred to keep all the shows themselves as kind that they are. I don't know, there's so many lessons, honestly, to take from this, but I don't know. Have you ever had an experience like that? I mean, this is like the extreme. I don't wish it. I don't wish that kind of like life realization upon anyone. It's not great. Even as like I was older than these girls, but I was still shocked at this whole thing. But I wish I had spoken up way earlier and that I didn't just trust her because she was nice. So I hope it serves for someone out there. Man, you can meet people who, just all sorts of different people. And also, I still checked up on their account to see if, like, the team of, like, the dancers, whatever, because I knew that at some point after my message, there was going to be some sort of things happening behind the scenes, you know, and maybe that it could push these young people to leaving her, because I learned later that they weren't paid. She made them busk and they weren't paid, so they worked way harder than her, basically. I don't even know what she was doing, but these kids had a dream and they were taking, you know, all the means necessary to make that dream happen, which I understand and I relate, and so it made them accept things that they didn't know was wrong. I'm sure they didn't realize it because they're young, and I think most of them left. I checked that, and honestly, good for them, and good for that girl who has been rejected because her dad wanted her to, didn't want her to do that, with them at least, but, you know, this is another lesson, do not accept whatever just to, you know, do something. Like, make sure you stop and think about what people want you to do. Some people hold the power, and like young people are often, you know, impressionable. So make sure you always stop to think about things thoroughly before signing up to something. Okay. I feel like a mom, but for real, like I would be sad for someone else to, you know, have to deal with that kind of stuff. And so I was imagining like having the girls, you know, not being in the week of training and these girls only being by themselves. They probably wouldn't have gone eating, which is crazy to me. And nothing would have surfaced because they wouldn't have said anything, or like one of these girls would have, like she did, and then no one else to back the dad, you know, because people are yeah, impressionable and scared. I'm not sure scared of what, but no one wants to be in a confrontation or in a fight, you know. It's not something common, it's not something pleasant. So I really had to, it's just that I had a lot of anger. Because I don't think I would, it's when I get angry that you really know that people have been pushing it, because I get angry easily at myself. I get very angry at myself. At other people, now I learned to not accept people walking on my toes, which I still do. I still do, and a lot of other this doesn't happen too much, and that I set my boundaries. Setting your boundaries is very important, okay? If you're nice, a lot of people will sort of, think you're a pushover and want to push the boundaries a little. I'm still dealing with that. I don't like to be confrontational and not nice with nice people, but even nice people tend to do that. So it doesn't mean that they're bad or evil. It just means that they do it and maybe don't realize it. But you have to fight back. You have to not fight. You have to stand up for yourself and put boundaries. Okay, so that